Greetings, mortals. It is I, Remortis. Welcome back to another MTG Ravnica build, this time bringing you House Dimir in Age of Wonders 4. In terms of magic, that is blue and black. In this game, this is going to be all about Astral and Shadow, more so on the other Shadow books that people don't usually take. Because in Magic, Dimir is usually about unavoidable damage, they're trying about sneakiness and making your opponents discard their cards, or called milling. However, that's not really in this game, so we're going to be doing a lot of morale and stealing other things. And we're not only that, we're also going to be spy masters and kind of be hiding from our opponents. So it's going to be a much different build than I'm used to and probably other people are used to. It's an underground build that relies on your stealthy scout units, and we're going to be trying to swoop up all the vassals and try to steal vassals away from our enemies. And then we'll have a few bases above ground, but generally we're going to try to stay in the underground as much as possible. Alright, enough of this babbling, let's just get right into it. Alright, so I opted for the Ratkin. You can obviously choose whatever you want, but I just felt like it's thematic as these are going to be underground dwellers. We chose the Mind Trait for underground adaptation so we can further hide from our potential opponents, as well as getting the quick reflexes just because they're ninjas, you know? They're sneaky. Harder to hit by ranged attacks. Excuse me.
What is their origin?
Alright, we went
culture?
with the Mystic culture. You can obviously choose whichever ones you want. I went with this one because Dimir is traditionally blue and black. In this game, that would be Astral and Shadow. So you can do a dark build, but I feel like with how their scout unit functions, I feel like Mystic is the way to go. And they are known to use a bit of wild magics as well. Not necessarily as wild as Izzet, but it still functions really well for this build. Alright, so we Mystic culture, that's for society traits.
What defines
I
their
personally
society?
think, because we're going to be the sneaky, how do you say? We're going to be sneaky thieves type of folks. I opted with Shadow Walkers and Silver Tongue. Shadow Walkers is going to give all of our scout units universal camouflage, so that way we can be scouting on the mainland as well as underground and be able to continually keep eyes on our opponents. Just be careful, because sometimes the AI might run over your unit and discover you. But that's up to you if you want to be, if you want to reveal yourselves to them, because you do get that option when you first discover them. Just be careful if you stand on any observatories, because obviously you're going to try to step on those to get vision. But if an enemy, or not an enemy, but if another faction or player has stepped on an observatory before you did and you step on it, then they will automatically discover you. Same thing as if you already use an observatory and then they step on it afterwards, they will discover you. So be careful with that. This will increases your vision range on your cities and provinces, but most of your stuff's gonna be underground. You might have some things above surface because it's hard not to go up there for the magic resources and such. Then you get universal camouflage, which helps us in sneaking around the world. Another thing to do to avoid your opponent is you can have these scouts fly on mountains. And then because we're also underground, we'll be doing a lot of digging, and sometimes when you dig up some of this earth, or some of the earth down there, it'll spawn an enemy army, but the enemy army will not attack your scout because they can't see it unless you get too close. And then you also we start with the Wayfinder enchantment, which makes it so your scouts are even quicker and they cost no upkeep. And then Silver Tongue, so we can sow secrets and whispers into our free cities that we acquire and find, and that way nothing costs money, or nothing, and everything's free that they can provide us will be free. So this is a very, very different type of playstyle than I am used to in this game, and honestly it's really fun. As for the tomes, I went with the Tome of Warding first. It's not the strongest tome, but it gets the job done. It helps make our guys a little bit more sturdier. You can grab the Staves of Warding to help all your support units and provide more resistance whenever they cast any support skills on your troops. The Summon Phantasm Warrior is a solid summoned unit. It's pretty neat because it's ethereal and I guess it floats, so it can kind of traverse over terrain. It's not amazing, but it gets the job done, and I just like it. It just feels really thematic for Dimir. Then you got Magical Words, which is pretty solid. It takes a bit of research, but it just flat out grants lightning, fire, and frost resistance. You cannot be mad at that, and no negatives as well. Then you got Static Shield. This is the okay ability. It's not really reliable since there's a 6% chance for things to get stunned, but that's okay. And then you get Bolstering Support. If your main hero will be using support skills, you get resistance. However, with this build, we will not be a support hero. So yeah, I like to start off with Tome of Warding, and then we will pick up Tome of Cryomancy. I know it's not the strongest, but it just helps the theme of the guild, or not the guild, but the theme of this build. And it will also help your hero get extra damage on their frost, or get extra frost damage on their attacks, which will come into play. Honestly, you could probably start with Tome of Cryomancy. However, you will have 6 points into Shadow, which is not terrible because if you really want to rush some of the perks in that tree. But I like to start off with the warding just so you can get the Astral going. Tome of Cryomancy has a few good things in here in the Lesser Snow Spirit and the Frost Blades. We're not going to grab Frost Arrows. You can. There might be a few archers in this build, but we're not going to prioritize them. So in that aspect, it's kind of like, is it? It's going to be a lot of mage focus. However, there could be archers, depending on what paths you choose later. Blizzard is an okay spell if you're trying to run away or chase after a army that's coming after you, and it will help give you some early damage. Ice Coffin's an okay ability. There's other spells that we're going to be casting that are more reliable. The White Witch is also an okay unit. If you have nothing else to research, this is an okay unit. You won't be too disappointed with it. And then you also get the School of Cryomancy. We don't care about this because we're rarely going to be in snow or ice. Unless you just happen to spawn up in the north or south, maybe it could be useful, but I don't really care about that part. As for your ruler, we will go with the Wizard King.
Reveal
and
yourself.
While I did say we are not going to be a support unit, Dimir is known for having assassins, so I am going to opt for a bow. Only because proper daggers aren't in the game yet. And that way we have some kind of ranged capacity, and some of the other tomes we're going to pick will help amplify our hero, and I'll say heroes, plural. And we'll finalize.
Your journey begins.
Let's get on into the build itself in the game. Alright, so when you first start in this build, you're on the ground. You can zoom out to see if there's anything nearby. We're on brutal difficulty, so we're probably not going to have much over here. So we'll be spending the first few turns. Oh, looks like we got some kind of chest here. What we got? Oh, look at that. It knew we were going to be a bow. Excellent. So we'll go ahead and grab that. Generally, oh, there's another piece of treasure here, too. Ring of Inspired Carrier. Oh, that is actually really good. That's really good for this build. Alright, let's see if we can start digging. It looks like we got some stuff to the south of us, so let's move our scout here to dig. We have another scout as well. Because of the 2 perks we chose, we get 1 scout for each in addition to the first scout. So we can go ahead and just send them up above to see if there's anything worthwhile. Just initially, it looks like there could be, you could set up a base up here. That it would be a good spot. And we'll just zoom out. Looks good. Not a bad start. Alright, let's equip our hero. That's actually really good. Alright. Let's go ahead and send them here. Pick up another Arcane Guard just so we beef up our front line. Start off with the unique building to get the drafting and production up, as well as a little bit of mana income. As for the research, none of the things are really exciting. I might go for the Snow Spirit. Actually, all these are pretty valid for the build, so I should take that back. They are exciting, but not amazing. But they get the job done. This is good for all the melee units we're gonna have. Snow Spirit is always solid. I love summoning spells. Spirits can be risky if you don't have the ways to support their mana, because once they, just like the feudal pikemen, these guys will also evolve. There it is. At champion level, they'll become a Snow Spirit, and these guys cost, I believe, about 20 mana per turn, whereas these normal guys are only 8. So that's a big difference. But because we're still going to be looking for stuff, we'll be using our scouting range. We'll start off with that. And I believe we'll end our turn here. What's that? Oh, this is actually a really good start. Wow. Okay, ending our turn. So mainly the main goals of the first few turns is you're gonna try to look for any free cities nearby, because usually you start with a free city near close to you, but we got to dig through some of these layers to find it. That's gonna be down here with you. It's usually the same race as your race. Looks like there's nothing over here. Grab him. Oh, what is this? Sorry, this is insane. I might actually have to make this a Dimir playthrough rather than just a Dimir build. But we'll get into that later. Alright, I mean, generally if you follow roads, that will lead you towards free cities, but it also might lead you towards your enemies. And look at this. Man, this is a really crazy start. So much free treasure. Alright, can we fight this guy? Oh, we can. Let's see what happens if we auto-resolve it. Oh, because we have that nightmare, I forgot. Yeah, just stomp it. That's just crazy. Oh my goodness. And it gets this flanker on top. What a start. Now let's see what kind of heroes we have that we'll have available. Okay. Not bad. And that's not bad. Oh, that actually is very thematic, honestly. Okay, we'll worry about that later. Alright, let's get on into the books and then we'll continue on the playthrough. But generally, you're going to be digging through to look for your nearby city-state to start talking to. Or free city, I should say. Honestly, let's have this one dig here. And you dig. I have a feeling it's going to be over this way. But I could be. Alright, let's get on to the tomes for this build. Alright, so obviously for this one we started with the Tome of Warding. And then we're going to go into Tome of Shadow afterwards. Wait a second. Oh, I guess I started with the Tome of Shadow first. Oops. Alright, that's not a big deal. We'll be getting Warding afterwards. Okay, so that's not too bad then. So you got 2 Astral and 4 Shadow. Alright, well, so pick either one you want to start with first. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Alright, for tier 2 tomes, we will go with the Tome of Shadow Tome, the Tome of the Doom Herald. So, Dimir is known for making your opponents discard things. Well, obviously we're not using cards here, and there's nothing to discard. So the next best thing I feel like that could feel thematic for the Dimir faction is to cause low morale to your enemies. You can by stealing it with the Joy Siphoners, some interesting stuff with the Banshee. The fact that it can phase and kind of just float over things also feels very Dimir to me. Prelude of Doom. Target enemy gets 2 demoralized per turn. That's okay. Affects the entire army though, so that's kind of neat. And it's something that you can cast before the combat. So this could be very effective if you really stack on the morale, which we will. So that's definitely one you want to pick up at some point. Cause Despair, this is a combat spell. Just helps really make fights negligible once you get all that morale stacking. Cruel Weaponry, you can pick this up on your troops, but you don't really necessarily need it. I definitely pick it up on the hero though, since it's a warfare skill. We're going to be stacking that stuff for our archer heroes. And then you got Doom Depth Trench. This is a very good building to pick up since we're going to be needing mana and knowledge, and it can be placed anywhere. It does not need to be part of your conduit farm, but it can be built on the borders since it counts as a conduit. And we just straight up get mana and knowledge for every alignment below neutral, and this is going to be an evil playthrough, so definitely pick that up. And we can go back to Astral and see what we got over here. We got Tome of Amplifying, which is not bad. It's more of a spellcaster and help amp up your spell dudes, which is just very optimized for a mystic playthrough. Tome of Scrying is more thematic, but it's kind of weaker. It helps you get more sight, helps your archer heroes ignore accuracy from your troops and enemy troops, so this could be pretty good. It's up to you which one you want to choose. Tome of Application is probably the stronger of the two, especially since you can help get more stuff for your conduit farms. You probably get both of these two eventually. And then there's some Mysterium stuff you could pick up. Tome of Winds can help with your archer dice and also give you more archers, so that way some of those technologies aren't going too much to waste. And it's just a pretty solid archer unit. The fact that it does splash damage top of that, and I believe it might stack with the morale penalties too. So you could do some interesting stuff with the Tome of Winds. And then Tome of Artificing is always pretty solid with Mystic, since their front lines are not the strongest, and you can help bolster them. You can get yourself more credit. Get yourself free golem. Pretty decent, but not super Dimir themed, but it's more of an optimization standpoint. And then we will pick our tier 3 books. I think Tome of Teleportation is completely Dimir. I will fight anyone who says otherwise. You got Quick Phase to help your troop or your hero teleport, so you can get better shots off on people. You can get teleportation easier. To jump around things, which is just because you can jump around the map. Most likely at this point, you will probably have a few players that you've met, and most likely they will not like you because you're going to be evil. You can mass recall your armies to help move around. It's pretty cool, honestly. Tome of Summoning is okay. I think it's a kind of a weaker book, and we're not really lending our heroes into the magic category, so the Wisp Familiar isn't very good either. But we do end up summoning a lot of stuff, so this could be a book you pick up way later. But as for the tier 3, definitely pick up Tome of Teleportation. And we can move on back to the Shadow, and we can do the Tome of the Cold Dark. It kind of stems off the Cryomancy thing. We got the Veiled Darkness, which helps give all of our troops Universal Camouflage. For that alone, that just feels very Dimir to me. You get even more Snow Spirits. Flash Freeze can be okay. It can help terraform stuff into Arctic terrain, which helps you get. It helps you can finally use that Cryomancy building and actually get some use out of it. The other thing too is that it also damages enemies. Then we got the Marching Winter, which is another terraforming spell, which it's more of a how do you say? It's a benefit. The other one is more of an offensive thing that you want to use to mess with your opponents, since it does damage to them. But the Marching Winter will also do the same thing, but it extends up to 2 other provinces outside the domain. So that way you can just really get that frost going for your frost buildings. And then you also get Snow and Ice will provide food and production. So that's pretty good, because snow usually is pretty useless otherwise. And then you got the Frostling Transformation. Gives all of your troops morale on cold terrain, immunity to frost condition, which can be very annoying. Frost resistance and Arctic walks, and it's pretty solid. I gotta test it to see if it actually works underground, or what happens if you do underground. Usually these terraforming spells say something about the underground when you're using them. You got Frostspire, just another frost building that will help stack more knowledge with ice and snow provinces. And then you also get Ice Touch. Next time you touch this thing, which is makes all your troops have 30% chance to inflict frozen. And then just if we do end up having a hero that has magic attacks, this could be a useful ability for them if they're using an orb, so they have the multi-strike, so they can inflict blind. Yeah, this is a decent book. You don't necessarily need to go out of your way for this one. You can definitely pick other things in the way of chaos. You can use the Tome of Pandemonium, which kind of feels a bit like Dimir. Not too crazy. This feels more Rakdos to me. You can, if you're going to really be laying into the vassal side of things, you could definitely opt for some order books, actually, in the Tome of Subjugation. Because a lot of this stuff kind of feels Dimir. Maybe not the brutality thing. This feels more like a darker Orzhov play, but that's neither here nor there. You get Intimidation Aura, which helps stack with your morale stuff. You get the Big Cavalry, which you will otherwise not have. Subjugating Raid. This can be useful to mess with other cities when you're sieging them. Just getting some more gold. You don't really care about city stability, but it can be useful. We don't have a lot of the we don't have the dark culture stuff that will help us negate that. So the stability actually could be useful for us. And then Final Ultimatum, because we're going to be making troops lose morale, this routing is actually very good. So this subjugation book is actually really thematic for our Dimir build. It's more optimized for this game in Age of Wonders. However, the fact that we're doing a morale-based playthrough and vassalage stuff, that this book is actually very useful for us. It helps us give us order things, order stuff in the order tree, which will help get more vassalage, and it's a pretty solid book for this build. Prior to that, though, we could probably pick up Tome of the Beacon to get Convent of Faith so we can get more Imperium. So we're going to be spending a lot of it. Summon Lightbringer can be useful. Dimir can use mind control sometimes, but yeah, it's okay. And Mighty Meek is always solid, and I will never say anything bad about it. That's about all you'd want from this book, and that's only if you really want to go into Tome of Supremacy. This is just an okay book. I would not really go for this one. It's not that crazy. But it helps give your troops morale, but we're not really improving our morale. We're more removing their morale. And then tier 4 books, we got Tome of Oblivion. There's a lot of options you can pick from. This can be good, might not be. It's really up to your how things are shaping up in your campaign. But for tier 3, I would probably pick up Tome of the Cold Dark because we said Tome of Cryomancy. There's a lot of synergy stuff here. And then same thing with Astral, definitely pick up Tome of Teleportation. And then tier 4, you also have the Astral Mirror, which can be okay. Tome of Astral Convergence. Nothing crazy, it's just more like random evocation type things, like more just random damage and things like that. Which is more thematic for Isit. Astral Mirror focuses more on messing with your opponents, so this is kind of Dimir fashion. Also, you get more vision range, you get 2 Astral Reflections, which is... Oh, you copy another unit, and deals 50% damage, cannot summon other units. So you can't use this on you can't use it on units that summon more units. So it's just kind of a nice distraction. This is probably more definitely a Dimir's type book. But anyhow, that's the Dimir build for the most part. I will probably definitely be doing a playthrough on this. We'll be using this campaign for sure. This is just such an incredible start, and hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys get a chance to try this playthrough. It's really fun, kind of sneaking in the caverns and seeing what you can do down here, and also going above the upper world and just spying on your enemies. Yeah, alright. Hope you guys really enjoy the video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the future. Farewell for now.